Are Chrollo and Queen Oito secretly brother and sister? Let's talk about this fan theory. Now, first of all, shout out to the man himself, Bandit Chrollo, who asked me to talk about this. So thank you for the support, man, and let's dive into this theory. All right, so in case you're unfamiliar, let me give you the quick rundown of this theory. And it's essentially that 8th Queen Oito of the Kakin Empire, mother to Prince Wobble and benefactor to Kurapika, is secretly the sister of Chrollo Lucifer, head of the Phantom Troop. So where are people pulling that from? Well, first and foremost, they do have a resemblance here, especially in the eyes, but also in the hair and the general demeanor. Now, in manga, that could mean absolutely nothing, but it also could mean something, which I know is, extremely generic, but it wouldn't be the first time. It wouldn't even be the first time Togashi did that in this arc, because as we know, First Queen Unma and Ninth Prince Hulkenberg share a striking resemblance. I mean, just look at that schnoz, and it was recently revealed that Hulkenberg is actually, secretly, First Queen Unma's son. So boom, they look alike. But beyond that, both of them have a keen intelligence as well, which may point to some familial DNA there. Now that alone is obviously flimsy at best, but there are a couple more points people bring to this theory, and both of them come from Queen Oito's backstory. She tells us that she was just a foolish girl who was from an impoverished family. She basically had a rags to riches story. King Nasubi found her in poverty and rescued her. I put that in quotes because she's not in the greatest of situations even now, and brought her to royalty and riches, right? And you can see that she was kind of in like a slum down type of place. But beyond that, we also found out through a conversation with one of her maids that she has a bunch of siblings. She says she's the middle of 5 with both older and younger brothers and sisters. So the basic idea here is that Chrollo is one of those referenced siblings because we know that he too came from a life of poverty. Now that's all certainly interesting, right? But it's still incredibly flimsy. And I think the reason most people think this holds any water is because of the narrative implications it would then have. They're basically extrapolating it to, well, if that was a connection, that would make for some, I just get turned around. That would make for some really interesting dynamics with Kurapika, given Kurapika's position as Wobble's guardian and Oito's guardian, right? Because we know Chrollo is one of Kurapika's main ops. He's responsible for the massacre of his clan, so wouldn't this be an interesting tug of war if Kurapika finds out that he is protecting Chrollo's family, and that would just make for some, interesting drama. So for me personally, I don't put much stock in this theory. I think the evidence is mostly grasping at straws. I would have been more inclined to believe it prior to getting the Phantom Troop flashback, and this theory existed before that, so don't get me wrong. But ever since we got that and we found out more about Chrollo's childhood, I think there would have been somewhat of a clue that he wasn't an orphan, His entire thing is that he made this found family with the Phantom Troop, right? He devoted his entire life to it. So if we found out that he also had 4 or 5 brothers and sisters out there, that just wouldn't really compute to me. Now, there are still ways to rectify both of those things, because maybe Chrollo was stripped away from the rest of his brothers and sisters and ended up in Meteor City alone for whatever reason, and Oito and the rest of them were still impoverished and lived in poverty just somewhere else. So, like, maybe Chrollo didn't even know he had brothers and sisters or something like that. But then if that was the case, then making them brother and sister doesn't really have much narrative impact anyway. And then as far as it being an interesting narrative development between Kurapika and Chrollo, sure, that would be cool, but I don't really think it's necessary because we already have like a million plot threads connecting them in interesting ways. One of which I already released a video on a couple days ago about Sheila and her connection between the two of them and how that could come to like fruition in this arc, especially if this is indeed Pariston. But let's even just push that aside because it may not be related to the Succession War, and yet these two things are, and they already weave in Kurapika and Chrollo, and even Wobble and Oito. Saradnik is obviously the glue between Kurapika and Chrollo insofar as he's the one with the remainder of the Kurta clan eyes, which he only has because of the Phantom Troop massacring Kurapika's clan, right? So that's already at play here. And then beyond that, with Wobble specifically, there may come already this interesting tug of war with Kurapika in his obligation to Oito, and now his obligation to this contract he made with Longhee, because what if Prince Wobble Wobble is beyond Netero's son. Like, that could create an interesting dynamic. But y'all let me know your thoughts on this theory, if you think it holds any water or not. And even if you don't believe in the evidence per se, would this be something that you would enjoy seeing? Like, would you like that added connection there between Chrollo and kurapika? And regardless of the case, I do think there's something else to drop with Oito. You know, whether it is that Beyond is Wobble's father or something else entirely, I feel like there's more to her story to uncover. And then before y'all get out of here, I want to give a big shout out to Crackers with Cheese, who sent in some support and recommended Isekai Samurai. And it's so funny that you brought this up because I literally just heard about this 2 or 3 days ago. So now that's 2 recommendations in the last week. So I've definitely added it to my list of things I want to check out, but just full disclosure, because I don't want anyone's like hopes to get up here. That probably doesn't mean I'll ever cover it on this channel. You know, never say never. Maybe I check it out and I absolutely fall in love with it and I'll start covering it. But I not only have a long list of things I just want to personally check out and read, but I also have a pretty long list of things that I want to cover on this channel already. And it's just a matter of, you know, getting the time to do it. And One Piece, Kagurabachi are at the top of that list. So those 2 will definitely be coming next. And then probably I've got a list of 2 or 3 things even beyond that. So it's not to say that I can't cover other stuff, and I love recommendations from you guys, but I just wanted to set expectations. I will definitely check this out at some point, but just can't promise any content about it or anything. And then also to your second recommendation of checking out the Guilty Gear soundtrack, I haven't heard all of it, but I love like video game music. That's my jam. So I love any and all recommendations like that as well from you guys, especially because I have to create like D&D playlists sometimes. And so video game music is often like perfect for a particular vibe. So thank you so much. And also, again, thank you to Chrollo for the original inspiration for making this video. And as always, thank you to all of you for watching.